Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, so the woman who has been arrested in Russia, suspected of carrying out the bombing in St. Petersburg against the Russian war correspondent, blogger, reporter, and former Wagner employee and former Russian military officer. This woman has been arrested on suspicion of carrying out the bombing, and she is reported to be an anti-war activist and radical feminist. Now, this potentially demonstrates the tried and true practice of intelligence agencies to infiltrate opposition and activist organizations to recruit and radicalize people towards militancy and terrorism. This is a very effective strategy, and it should be obvious how this strategy could potentially work throughout Europe, given the fact that the population is increasingly disgruntled, angry, and frustrated, with some segments of the society at boiling point. I mean, you have the woke, you have white nationalists, you have obviously environmental extremists and labor activists. All of these segments of society and all of these organizations present potential targets for terrorist grooming, for radicalization and militancy by Western intelligence agencies for the purpose of destabilization. And this is precisely what I've been talking about since the beginning of the war. Because again, you have a huge flow of arms flooding into Ukraine and out of Ukraine, because no one knows where these arsenals are actually ending up, and deliberately, by design, because the US specifically canceled any move to monitor the destination of the weapons that they're sending. So all of this weaponry can potentially proliferate throughout Europe and be directed into the hands of radicalized operatives who are groomed by intelligence agencies specifically for that purpose. That's what I meant in my last video about terrorist groups and militant groups springing up across Europe of all different stripes, because you can have liberals, you can have white nationalists, you can have labor activists, you can have communists, you can have all different types of organizations. All they need them to do is to be violent and to cause turmoil. Whatever their ideology is not really particularly important, except the extent to which those ideologies can be used to motivate them to fulfill the necessary task of destabilization. And this, I want to go back to something I said much earlier about Ukraine. American support for Ukraine will be just enough to ensure that the conflict will be a long and grinding one which can spill over and mutate. That's the purpose. Ukraine is a launch pad for a destabilization project against Europe. That's the point. It has been a very long time since the United States was concerned about winning wars. What they're concerned about is causing maximum destruction, maximum devastation, maximum instability, and only creating losers in that scenario, because that is what is lucrative. The US doesn't have to win wars. There's no winning for Russia, there's no winning for Ukraine. There's only loss for both of them, because America only engages in wars now that create loss for all participants except themselves. Because America doesn't consider the loss of their soldiers or the loss of their weaponry as a loss. That's not a loss. The soldiers are there to be disposed of, and the weapons are there to be disposed of so that they can be replaced by taxpayer money funneled into the private sector for the replenishment of weaponry. This is all business. America didn't lose anything in Iraq. They didn't lose anything in Afghanistan. All they did was funnel billions and billions and billions of dollars into the arms industry. Now they appear to be targeting Europe for the same type of program. Jazakumullahu khairan wa assalamu alaikum.